Welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy, and today we are going to be doing another color cube card on velour paper in pastel. Here's our reference photo. Gorgeous color palette. Absolutely beautiful. Creamy pinks, creams into pinks and tealy kind of colors into grays. Really, really nice. This is the second recording of the voiceover because I did not turn on my mic the first time. I'm a pro. I got this. So here I am wiping off the white pastel. If you get pigment on your pastels from other pastels, just get a tissue or a little rag and wipe them off. Good as new. Look at that. Beautiful. Definitely need the white for the brights and for the layering. I know the white is not on the card, but the card is a guide, not a Bible. There are no hard and fast rules when you're creating. You are allowed to do what you want. So I picked a soft cream. That beautiful cream color comes in really handy later. Ooh, that lightning. I am voiceovering all of these videos on the same day. Then we have a thunderstorm kind of rolling around out there. And there's lots of lightning and thunder. I don't know if the mic's going to pick it up, but it is quite intense and very enjoyable. Anybody else out there like a good thunderstorm? I feel like it breaks the tension and it broke that humidity and everything feels like cool and comfortable again. That stickiness that was in the air is gone. Feels really nice in the apartment right now. So instead of going with pinks right out of the gate, I am choosing peaches. Some couple different values in the peaches. There's a light one and then a slightly darker one and then the deep orange. Because once again, in the distance on this card, visually for me, it looks like a peach pink color. For me, it has both of those colors in it, not just pinks. And there's that little bit of kind of teal that I have. It's the closest to teal in my Handmade Mungyo colors that I have. And it's not a teal color. And I can't read the color because I ripped the name. Whoopsie daisy. That's par for the course with pastels, though. I usually rip all the papers off and I don't worry about color names. And if I need to pick up a color later that is close to it, I will try to go with the same brand and do my best to get the colors that are close. And as I learn, the different color names will stick with me. Like the Prussian blue in this set is a favorite. It's just the most beautiful blue pastel I've ever owned. And once again, I have out my Sohos, which is these small, harder, round ones are Sohos. I got the 60 set, I believe, or the urban 60 or 80 60. I don't know. I don't remember. The box is put away. But I decided to go in and lay down the teal. I was thinking I would just put it in the immediate spots that I see it in and then end up changing my mind as I go and blocking in the more prominent parts very boldly and then just skimming the color over the surface to let some of that gray peep through. We don't want to cover it all up. And then I decided to go ahead and put it in the bottom as well for a little bit of visual continuity, because the other colors, it will peep through the other colors as you layer them. It will be there. Maybe not as brightly, but it definitely is in the mix as you go. And then here I am with this bold orange again, just putting it in. And putting that, I got I got super bold with that one. You pop that in, and then the other colors will soften it and kind of push that dark, bold color back a little bit. But it's a nice base for getting in that swath of peachy, pink, sherbety kind of color that's in the sky. I do like the orange against the teal. I think that looks beautiful. And I'm just going on instinct, popping in color here and there. What I can see through the clouds in the reference photo, and just kind of building up the colors. I was going to go in with the white and change my mind and decided to go in with the cream color for the base of the clouds, because we're going to layer colors over the peach, and I want that base. I don't know, I feel like it gives the clouds a little more body, a little more thickness feeling, some density, if you will. Who doesn't like a dense cloud? And here I am skimming that distant horizon, just skimming over the surface to give that look of super distant clouds floating low on that horizon line in the background. And then popping in our local color over our other local color to get that beautiful teal peeping through without much work, right? Because we put that teal down on, and this paper's very grabby. It grabs your pastel and pretty much stays where you put it. If you make a mark on this paper with your pastel, especially a hard pastel, it's pretty much where you put it. And I haven't found a way to lift it or smooth it out, but you can layer over it if there's enough tooth left to layer, which is another reason to work in super light layers, skimming the surface of this paper, letting the tooth of the paper and the particles of the pastel do the work for you. Just a little tiny bit of pressure, and then I'm blocking in the grays in the bottom. Decided I want to get that base color in like I did with the teal underneath all those poofy white clouds. We're going to put those on top. There we go. And then get that darker gray. And get that worked in to the surface of the paper, but once again, not covering the entire thing. Goofed a little there. We'll ignore that and keep going. Oopsie. We won't be able to see that later. As we layer the colors, it'll get fixed. Yeah, trying to let that teal peek through and not get too carried away with obliterating the colors one layer over the other. Instead, letting them, like you do with your watercolor paints, right? You want to let them peek through each consecutive layer. You love that visual blend and the translucent nature of the pigments on the page. That's what I'm thinking as I'm working here. I want to be able to let those previous layers peek through and be visible. And then I'm pushing that dark into the page because we're about to go over this with the white and pop in our clouds. And we don't want any of the loose particles from the previous layers to shift around too much. Oh yeah. Here's where we're going with that pink and get that sherbet color going on. That pink peach sherbety color, it just looks like, it reminds me of sherbet. Which was one of my mom's favorites when we were kids, to get a sherbet popsicle or ice cream bar, whatever they were. Never did like those. Too creamy. Maybe that's why she bought them, because us kids didn't like them. We would need them on her. Now that I'm a mom, I've done that. Buy things I kind of like because I know the kids don't like it, so that I have a little treat for myself for later in the night if I want one. Popping in those bright, bright whites. Popping those in because we're going to go over the bright whites. See how much body that cloud has now? It has volume. Yeah, I really dig that. I don't know. Maybe I'm hungry. All I can think of is whipped frosting. That light, fluffy whipped frosting. And sherbet popsicles. Triggering everybody right now. Go get a snack. You'll be fine. But yeah, I'm popping in the layers, getting the white. I got a little carried away with on purpose because I know I'm going to put more pigment on top of the white and tint it a bit. So thinking about getting that luminosity going, putting the white on the cream. Ooh, that was my straw in my water glass. The white over the cream gives it some density and body, and then the colors misted over the top of the white and the cream will give it that also whipped frosting glazed over the sky kind of look. I just maybe need a piece of cake. I don't have any sweets in the house. I think that's part of my problem. I didn't have my smoothie today, so that's usually my sweet treat for the day is my smoothie. It has veggies and fruit in it, but it is mostly fruit based because I like a fruit smoothie. Here I am popping in those wispy thin clouds. Now there are not wispy thin clouds in the reference photo. I just felt like it made sense and gave a little bit of depth to the piece, like that distance that we need. Yeah, so that was my thought about pattern behind that. Yeah, I really like how that looks. And contemplating, when you see me pause, I'm just thinking, okay, what am I looking at, and where do I put my next mark? And not overthinking either, just kind of assessing and acting, responding to how the pigments laid down on one another and responding accordingly. If that makes any sense at all. It was a nice evening last evening, listening to movies and just drawing without any pressure. I did film it because I thought if they do turn out nice, I would like to share the experience. Even when they don't turn out that great, I still share. My watercolor Wednesday video, I'm not there, but I feel like we should all share all the steps that we're going through so that we all know that we're not alone in our journey. We all make bad art. We all make art we're dissatisfied with on some level. And generally, if you have a YouTube channel, you're not going to show that side, right? You're going to show your more pleasing side, your more finished, educated, fabulous side. But yeah, I am having a time with these clouds in watercolor. Pastel, not so much apparently. Digging the pastel. I have more control over the pastels. I know right where I'm going to put down the color and the shape, and it doesn't shift or move on me. And working wet into wet or wet on dry, bleeding down, watercolor is a challenge. And I sometimes forget to not fight against the paint. Let it be what it wants to be. Quit picking, put it down and leave it alone. Let it move and bleed where it needs to. Yeah, I'm learning. Still learning. I've been doing watercolor for 5 years now. Yeah. Since 2019, I picked up watercolors for the first time in 2019. Fell in love after just struggling with acrylic paint. Me and acrylic were not friends. But the experience of using watercolor and ink or watercolor over a drawing in opposition to or instead of using acrylic paint was just eye-opening. I fell in love immediately with watercolor, and I've not stopped since. Kind of set acrylic paint aside. Decided to stop arguing with it and just let those that love acrylic do acrylic. I don't love acrylic, therefore I can move on to other mediums and do those. Just frees me up, right? Here I am popping in the poofy little clouds on the top of that dark, maybe body of water underneath those clouds, or just a dark mass of forest or something. Ooh, I keep knocking stuff down with my chair. I don't think anything was back there to knock down. Oh, I knocked over my drawing board. It's okay. But yeah, fell in love with watercolor. Really enjoy it. Fell in love with pastels again. I knew I liked pastels from high school. And I knew I liked graphite from high school because I took art classes in high school. I took college courses. Life drawing was my favorite. Any kind of dry medium I fell in love with immediately because there's that sense of control, right? Watercolor, the control is limited. I mean, you can learn what it does and doesn't do and what it will and won't, how to make it do what you want it to do. I mean, there are artists out there that do these amazing realistic pieces that are just mind-bogglingly beautiful. You wouldn't even know it was a watercolor. It's so pretty and real looking. I'm not quite there. I may never get there. Because I don't do what is it, hyperrealism? Realistic, yes, but not realism. At least with watercolor. I like to play with different colors and put colors where you wouldn't normally see that color. That's fun to do. Make objects that, like pine trees, I don't know, make them pink and purple instead of greens, that kind of thing. I think that's a fun thing to do with watercolor. With art in general. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It's getting to be my bedtime. This is the last one that I'm going to voice over for the evening this evening because my energy's a waning. This one did take a little longer than the other ones because of the complexity of the design, of Mother Nature's design. And just the amount of layers and the complexity of how to make it effectively look the way it does in the reference photo. So a bit more challenging, but still it only took me, was it almost 27 minutes from start to finish? Not bad. Not too shabbily. I think the first one took a little over 16 minutes and the second one took roughly 20 minutes. Yeah, so this one about a half hour. Not too bad. We're at the 20-minute mark right now and almost done. I'm just fussing at this point, layering in that peach on top of the bright whites to get that sherbet color, going back and forth with the pink and the peach and the white, and trying to make those bright areas pop back up again after layering on the other colors. Yeah. I really like how this turned out. I hope you guys do too. And that you painted along with. If you painted along with, I'd love to see it. Hashtag Blake Studios, and I will swing through and look at it. And or you could link it in the comments as a picture. I think you can do that, right? Can link your art. That is so cool. I'm deciding pink peach, pink peach. Which way am I going here? Because there is a lot of reflected light going on in this reference photo, and we do see a lot of pinks and peaches and grays in those lower clouds. So that's what I'm a little artist prerogative as well. Make it as bright or not as you want, as contrasted as you want. Contrast is kind of something I'm learning to do better. I tend to not make my darks as dark as they should be, and I stay in that like mid-tone area for my darks instead of going for it and getting in there and get it done. So I am getting better with that aspect of my art and contrast within my pieces, being more bold with my color choices, and especially in watercolor. Watercolor is a very translucent, for the most part, medium, so I do have a bit of a hard time getting super dark darks with watercolor. Ooh, another thing I'm falling in love with is gouache. Next month's journey is going to be gouache, you guys. We're going to be doing a lot of gouache and watercolor play next month. There we go. There's my contrast that I was talking about. I grabbed that dark blue-gray color and popping back in those dark darks. I know it's not quite that dark in the reference photo, but I really enjoyed that pop of contrast. I feel like it gave it a little more depth and dimension, made it feel like clouds over a hard surface. Yeah, I'm really, once again, very pleased with how this one turned out. Surprised myself. Look at me go, you guys. I think the last acrylic painting I did was a landscape or a dragon, one of those two, and it turned out terrible. Then I got my hands on watercolors, and I did a graphite drawing of, I'd have to dig out my sketchbooks, but I did do a dragon. Oh, it was on my table. That's what that was. I did a acrylic painting on the surface of my table of a dragon. That was a while ago. That was back in 2019 when I was living in Washington State. Moving back there, you guys, in a couple months. I got 9 more weekends before my drive back across the country. Very excited. The nervous belly butterfly anticipation feelings are very prominent when I think about it now, the closer it gets. Here I'm popping in more teal because I feel like it kind of got a little washed out. And it's definitely there in the reference photo. Maybe not this bright and in your face, but once again, my painting, my rules. And then a little more pink, and there's that peach. Nope, it's the pink. And you can still see that dark orange peeking through because it was just really strong. Yeah, I really like this. Surprised myself, honestly. I didn't know if I could do this one. I did put this card back initially when I was selecting cards out of the Color Cube box to do for clouds. I was like, nah, this one seems really complicated. Maybe we'll put that one back and try that one on a better day. What's better than today? Nothing, that's what. Today is the here and now. Let's just try this and see if we can do it. You don't know if you don't try, right? Just popping in more of those bright, bright highlights that kind of got washed away with the multiple layers of other colors. And there we go. And you should never blow on your artwork. You should always tap it off like this into, usually I tap it on a separate sheet of paper or into the garbage can. If you tap it on a separate sheet of paper and you do have kind of large clumps or a big pile of chalks, you can put it in a little container and save it and use the leftover chalk for like backgrounds to put a base tint on your pastels or watercolors or whatever you want. So it's an idea. So you're not wasting all that crumbled chalk, right? There's all the colors we used. We're all set and done. Just lining everything up and making it look pretty and wiping off. I got chalk all over. These cards are great. They're coated so you can just wipe them off with a wet cloth and they're perfect. Perfectly good and new. So here's our stuff. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video and my banter. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, right? Here is a close-up of our piece. And then the art. Yeah, woohoo! Good, good. Thank you for watching. Bye.